Have you ever wondered, how can I know what God is like? As a pastor of a church, I often talk to people about God, and I've found that lots and lots of people do believe that there is a God, that this world isn't here by chance. But very few people have any developed ideas about who that God is. There's an ancient story which talks about an elephant and imagines that you've got four men feeling their way round an elephant. So one blind man feels the elephant's leg and says the elephant is thick and strong. Another feels its tail and says no, he's thin and got hair on. Another feels the elephant's ear and says no, he's long and flat. Another feels the elephant's nose and says no, you're all wrong. This elephant is long and thin. And the idea is that we're all a bit like that when we try to understand God. We all get different parts of who he is. Now there's something that's good about that story. It acknowledges that we are blind men. God is not visible. So how on earth are we meant to know what he's like? You may feel that. How on earth am I meant to know what God is like? I can't even see him. But I think there's a big problem with that story. Whilst it's right in assuming that we are like blind men, it's very wrong to assume that God is like an elephant. See, there's a big problem with trying to get to know an elephant. An elephant cannot talk. And so if you're blind, you will just have to feel your way. But let's take the elephant out of that story and let's assume it's a man. If those four blind men want to know what that man is like, they're not going to feel his arms and his nose and his hair. They're going to ask him. And as he speaks, they're going to listen. And as that man talks about his hopes, his aspirations, his dreams, they'll begin to know a bit more of what that man is like. And that's what the Bible says. The Bible says that to some extent we can get to know God from the world. We can see his power, his majesty. We can see his care for all his creation. But that is in a sense trying to feel our way to God. If we really want to know what God is like, we've got to speak to him. Or more to the point, he's got to speak to us. And the Bible says God has done that in two ways. The first way is he's spoken to us in the Bible. We can read the words of this book and we get to know what God is like. And secondly, God hasn't stood at a distance. Whilst yes, God is invisible, there was a time in history when he came down to earth as a man, Jesus Christ. And if we look at Jesus, then we find out exactly who God is. He's a God that we can see, that we can touch, that we can feel, that we can listen to. He's God in flesh. And so we're not lost like blind men trying to feel our way to God. We can find out who God is in the Bible, and we can find out who God is in Jesus. Now, if you've got any questions about God, why don't you leave them in the comments, because over the next few weeks, I'm going to be putting up a video every Friday answering questions that you might have or that you indeed do have about God. And we're going to use the Bible and Jesus to explain the answer to those questions. So please, before you go, leave a question down in the comments, or leave 10 questions if you've got 10 questions. And over the next few weeks, I hope to be able to get back to you. Thanks for watching.